Tim Kane, the entertainment editor at the Herald and Review, and I'm at my desk. It's the time of year when we're right on top of it, Halloween, scary movie time. Wrote a column about this last week. Just want to give you the visual version of it so you can see what the boxes look like, at least if you end up going to the video store trying to check them out. There are 3 scary movies that I'm recommending people see, and these are adult films. These aren't things to show to the kids or even to young adults. I really think that you really need to be a real adult to kind of get some of these that are a little more intense. Funny Games, you may remember, is one I recommended a couple years ago, and then it got a ton of grief from the family to whom I recommended it, including the oldest teenage daughter actually putting a note inside the DVD warning future people who might rent it that it was a garbage movie, which I thought was really funny. There's a couple that I'm going to recommend that I don't think that she'd do this to, and I'm not sure she'd get all the way through, and I'm not sure all of you would get all the way through either, and I'm not sure, I'm pretty positive that I never want to see them again in total. The first one is Audition. This is a well-known Japanese horror film, which is just really kind of brooding and intense and gets to the end, and then there's all manner of nastiness, you know, mutilation and acupuncture needles going where they shouldn't go and limbs going where they shouldn't go, stuff like that. The first time I was aware of this film was watching a Bravo TV special about the 100 scariest movies ever, and I'd seen most of them and a lot of them hadn't scared me, but I saw this one, saw a couple clips from it included in the Bravo piece, and believe me, they were probably the only ones that would, the clips that they included were the only ones that really reflected the intensity of the movie that you could still show on broadcast television. It's a pretty intense flick. I've recommended it to a couple people, including one person who said, you know, thanks a lot for letting me know about that, but I'm pretty sure I never want to see it again. Wasn't regretting that he had seen it, but did kind of flip him out a little bit. Another one that's more recent, and it's one that a lot of people that I've mentioned it to have not seen or heard of. It's called Martyrs. It's a French film. And again, both of these films have subtitles, and if you're a person who doesn't like reading movies, then, you know, yeah, of course, I understand you may want to stay away from it. But in both these films, a lot of the emotion comes out of the intensity and the development of the film, and you don't necessarily have to be able to read what's going on in the words to understand what's happening in the film. It's, you know, well-made movies are like that. In Martyrs, things start out intense and get more and more and more and more and more intense until, as it gets to the end, there's something that I've never seen in any kind of thing, any kind of film that might be considered a mainstream horror film, and it really wigged me out. It's a movie that's so intense and so troubling and somewhat disturbing that it was essentially banned in France at one point, and there was a protest over its rating. It was given the French equivalent of an adults only or an X rating, and that kind of rating in France is kind of the same death to a film rating as it would be here. And a number of personalities and celebrities, including actors in the film, participated in a rally in order to try to reverse a decision on the film. Well worth your while. The third film is one that I think anybody could watch as long as you've got a knowledge of all the classic horror films of the last 30 years that we talk about, from Halloween to Friday the 13th to the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And that movie is called Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. And what it is it's a quasi-documentary, mockumentary, not unlike Spinal Tap or For Your Consideration or the Christopher Guest films, but not that funny. Not as funny as those, not deliberately funny. There are some jokes, but it's not a comedy film. And it's set in a world where Freddy exists, where Jason exists, where Chucky is real. And Leslie Vernon wants to join those legends as a mass murderer of teens. And it takes you essentially behind the scenes, behind the thought process of someone like that, and behind the thought process of films that are made that way. And it throws you a lot of inside jokes, a lot of things that if you're a fan of those movies, or even if you're not a fan of those movies and are just familiar with them, it'll make you smile a lot and give you a few moments of recognition. And it's really well done film. Kind of obscure, although to my surprise, since I wrote about it, I've had a lot of people say, yeah, I've seen that film, it was really good. So obviously not as obscure as I thought it was, but it might be something worth checking out for you. Those are the three, Funny Games, still pretty good. Can't go wrong with that. And, if you want to scare me, then send me a copy of Jumanji, because that'll really flip me out. I'm Tim Kane, and I'm at my desk. Ooh.